Welcome, everyone, to our daily broadcast on Kabbalah for the Heretic. With me, your host, Yakov Leib HaKohain. We have been teaching this for over 40 years. Listen to me. Now, half of that, approximately, the last 20 years, 20 plus years, has been on the internet, podcasts like this. Before that, I was teaching in person. But anyway, for over 20 years now, we have every weekday morning been teaching on the Zohar, for example, every morning. And we're now in Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. And we come to the passage, when man arose, that is the second Adam. When man arose, listen, let me take it back. When man arose, his female was affixed to his side. This is the first Adam. Remember, in talking about this, I believe yesterday and days before that, there are two Adams, of course, the first and the second. The first is unensouled, created in the spirit of darkness and chaos, and the male and female were created at the same time, back to back. Some sources of oral Torah are even more specific, but here it says, for when man was created, the first man, the word man, Adam, is used interchangeably between the first and the second Adam, and that's why it's so important to learn that there is this difference. For when man was created and his body completed, 1,000 spirits from the left sides assembled around that body from the left side, the side of evil. It was created by Elohim, plural for gods. Therefore, all these spirits, thousands of them, all the parts of Elohim, the dark parts of Elohim that were told in Genesis 1, hovered above the waters. As it says, God made man upright, Yashar. Here the word man, Adam, means male and female. The female being included in the male. And hence it says upright. This is talking about the second Adam, where Adam is born first without any feminine accompanying him. But in the first Adam, they are born simultaneously. As it says then, when man arose, his female was affixed to his side, and the Holy Spirit in him spread to each side, thus perfecting itself. Afterwards, God sawed the man in two, and fashioned his female, and brought her to him like a bride to a canopy. And when Lilith saw this, she fled. Now, in this passage, it's talking about the second Adam and the Eve that was brought forth from out of Adam. How do we know that? Because it says, when Lilith saw this, she fled. Lilith was the first Eve, born side by side with the first Adam, Nachash. Am I being clear? Just quickly raise your hand if I am. Excellent. Now you can see that everything I've been teaching up to here, quoting from the Zohar, from memory, is right here in the Zohar. When Lilith saw this, she fled, and she is still in the cities of the sea coast, trying to snare mankind. And when the Almighty will destroy the wicked Rome, that phrase, wicked Rome, means the Catholic Church. It does. It's one of the well-kept secrets of the Zohar. And when Lilith shall set her, when Lilith saw this, she fled. but she is still in the cities of the seacoast trying to snare mankind. And when the Almighty will destroy the wicked Rome, the Catholic Church, he will settle Lilith among the ruins, since she is the ruin of the world, as it is written, quote, for there Lilith shall settle and find her a place of rest, from Isaiah. In ancient books it says that Lilith fled from man before this, but we have learned differently, that she did associate with man until his soul, his neshama, was placed in him in the second Adam. And then Lilith fled to the seaside, where she tries to harm mankind. The seaside, the border between the great ocean of unconsciousness and the great land of consciousness. But notice, it is Lilith who is the damnation of the world. Now, people who only see what they want to see either are ecstatic to see that because they're against the feminine, or they're horrified and offended because it said the feminine. Oh no, well, that is not, the Zohar is sexist. No, it's not sexist at all. It's saying that there is a positive and negative side to the feminine, just as there is to the masculine. And that negative side of the feminine is Lilith. And she continues in the world. The negative mother continues in the world, destroying us. For God's sake, look at Hinduism. The great mother in Hinduism is portrayed in at least two ways: loving, nurturing, helpful, one way. But in the other way, evil, vicious, destructive, hateful, murderous, because the feminine is both. That's what makes it so damn powerful. And the feminine, more even than the male, has the power of life over death. In many ways, the feminine is vastly more powerful than the male. I've used this example before. I'm going to use it again. There are wonderful in vitro films of the male sperm pouring into the birth canal and swimming toward the egg, the ovary. What you see as is swimming toward it is that the female is destroying them. They are being killed off by the feminine essence around them. Now, this is not speculation. You see it. Science shows it. The male, in its movement toward the egg, is being killed off by the feminine, until finally, out of the millions that are produced during the ejaculation, only a few are left at the end that reach the egg. And of those, only one or two can survive entering the egg, because the ovum itself is destroying them as they enter. Are you all getting the point out there? This is why the feminine is so feared, and rightly so. Rightly so. I mean, there are species where the minute the mother gives birth to the offspring, they must separate the offspring from the mother, or she will eat them. One time, some years ago, back in the 80s, I was walking down the street and I saw a duck. There were ducks where I lived, pecking at a slice of white bread. And I chuckled to myself until I got up to it. It was not a slice of white bread that that duck was pecking at and eating. It was a little dead duckling. Lilith. The true meaning of Lilith is so distorted in modern know-it-all New Age thinking, where women aspire like Lilith. Lilith becomes a great image of the feminine movement. The reason being, it's not said here, but the reason that's given in other oral Torah, possibly even in the Zohar, that the feminine Lilith flees from man. The reason that here is being said is not true, but the reason given is because she wanted to take the superior position in sex on top of man, and the man would not allow it. So she said, "You're not going to let me do that? I'm leaving." So modern women, when they find out about that story, that piece of archetypal myth, see it as a statement of the real strength of the feminine. Well, maybe for them, what they fail to understand is that when she does leave him for that reason, she is further said to destroy newborn babies, to eat her young, and to come in dreams to man and cause them to have nocturnal emissions. In other words, she causes a lot of trouble. So her freedom from the male, Lilith now, her freedom from it is the misuse of the Holy Spirit. And God damn it, you see that all the time in some women. Not all women. That is the Lilith side of the feminine in them, is holding sway over the second Eve, the Holy One. And then there are most women where it's balanced in them, as it should be, and is. And then there are some women we call saints, in whom that positive side of the feminine predominates over everything. The same is true of man. The exact same thing is true of man. There is the evil side of man and the holy side of man, just as there is of God. For the most part, there is a balance between the two. But there are those in whom the evil side predominates. And it's not hard to find them. And then there are those, most I think, in whom there is something of a balance between the two sides. And then there are the tzaddikim, very few, in whom the holy side predominates over everything. So it says here, when man arose, that is to say, the first Adam, his female was attached to his side. So we can see right away that it's not the second Adam. The second Adam was born without any female at all, except that which was in him. And the Holy Spirit in him spread to each side. So the Holy Spirit was in the feminine and the masculine in the first man. But afterwards, God sawed the man in two and fashioned his female and brought her to him like a bride to the canopy. That's the second Adam, not the first. Because in the first Adam, he was born attached to the feminine and the feminine to him. It was not until the perfected Adam, the second Adam, in whom God placed a soul and whom became a living being, it was not until that Adam that the feminine was created from out of him and brought to him like a bride. It says, and when Lilith saw this, Lilith from the first creation, the evil, dark side of the feminine, when she saw this, she fled. And she is still in the cities of the sea, trying to snare mankind. And when the Almighty will destroy the wicked Rome, that is to say, the Catholic Church, I'm not making that up. When he shall destroy the wicked Rome, and when the Almighty will destroy the wicked Rome, the Almighty will settle Lilith among the ruins, since she is the ruin of the world. It is the dark feminine that is the ruin of the world, just as the holy feminine is its creation and support and salvation. For Lilith there, quoting again, for there Lilith shall settle and find her a place of rest, of rest. In ancient books it says that Lilith fled from man before this, in the way I told you, because he wouldn't allow her to be on top during sex. In ancient books it says that she fled from man before this. But we have learned here differently, that Lilith is associated with man until his soul was put in him. And the word for soul used here is neshama, which is feminine. And then she fled to the seaside, where she tries to harm mankind. So it wasn't for the reasons that the feminists claim that Lilith left the first Adam, which is Nachash. It wasn't because she was establishing her independence. Not at all. The Zohar acknowledges that is one of the explanations in the ancient books, but it says that explanation is not so. She fled when the second Adam was created, and when the feminine was drawn out from the second Adam, the Holy Spirit. Then she fled. And the Almighty will settle Lilith among the ruins of Rome. Listen to that. And the Almighty will settle Lilith in the ruins of Rome, for there she shall find rest. It is not far-fetched to interpret this as referring to the verse that in the book of Revelation, Mary is portrayed at some parts as a demon. Remember? Am I not correct? And is the Protestants all delight in saying, see, that's the Catholic Church. That's Mary, the Catholic Church. The dark side. Lilith. Well, there's some support for that here, even before Christianity. In the ruins of Rome, which means the Catholic Church, Lilith shall find a place of rest. Now that directly means that she is not in a place of rest now. The dark side of God, the evil side of God, both feminine and masculine evil sides, is in turmoil because it is evil. We see that often in the Old Testament when God expresses his guilt over treating mankind the way he does. When you see that, it is the holy right-hand side of God that is expressing the guilt that it feels over the unholy left-hand side. And the same is true of the feminine. When Lilith saw this, she fled, and she is still in the cities of the seacoast, trying to snare mankind. How? How? Well, you have to take it in context. In the ruins of Rome, that is through the Catholic Church, Christianity. Oh, but that's so anti-Christian. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And if you study the Christian church, you will see, and especially the Catholics, a whole shitload of evil. Not so much anymore, but man, the history of the Catholic Church is bloody. Evil. Lilith has indeed found herself a place of rest in that institution, in that political institution, not in the spirit of the Catholic Church, which is indeed Christ, but in the church itself, as an entity. Evil has found a place of rest. Now, before everybody gets really upset with me, that's true of every religion. Evil finds a place of rest in all religions. It just does. And even that's not entirely true. The Eastern religions, not so much. It's the so-called Judeo-Christian religions, the Abrahamic religions, where evil is constantly finding a place of rest in them. Look at what's going on in the world with these holy Muslims who are slaughtering babies and whole towns in the name of God. Do you not think that's evil? Look at the Israeli, the Jewish side. There are evil aspects to that as well. Indiscriminate bombing and killing of innocent women and children. Every religion is a resting place for Lilith. Every Abrahamic religion, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam primarily. They are resting places for Lilith. For there Lilith shall settle and find her place of rest. The remedy to all is this. Now listen. It has raised this problem. Now it's going to give a remedy. When a man unites with his wife, he should sanctify his heart to his master and say, quote, "She that is wrapped in a robe is here. Thou shalt not enter nor take out. It is of thee, not of thy lot. Return, return, the sea is heaving. Its waves await thee. I cleave to the holy portion of God in having intercourse with this woman. I am now in intercourse wrapped in the holiness of the king." Listen, it's a mystical, magical rite. The cure for the world being the resting place of evil, of the feminine evil, is when literally having intercourse with a woman, a man should say, "She that is wrapped in a robe of holiness is here. That is the one with whom I am having sexual intercourse. And thou, evil Lilith, shall not enter or take out from her. It is neither of thee nor thy lot." This is all while having sex. Return, return to the sea, the man should say, inwardly, silently. For the sea is heaving, and its waves await thee. I cleave now to the holy portion. I cleave now to the holy portion. As he is having sex, as he enters her, I am wrapped in the holiness of the king. That's the remedy. Theurgy is the remedy. Sex magic is the remedy. He should then cover his head and the head of his wife for a short time. Listen to that. Sex made a holy ritual, literally. Whoa. God give us the strength. We'll continue with this tomorrow morning. Let me mark my place now. The remedy is this. Baruch Hashem.
That ends the broadcast for this morning. Thank you, all of you out there in the listening audience. God bless you. God bless you for listening. And the few of you who are here to record the broadcast and to ask comments and questions, thank you for being here. Now, as we do every morning at the end, I'm going to recite the prayer for the dead, the Kaddish for our departed friend, beloved friend, Leonard Cohen. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shmei rabo, bal mo divro chirusei v'yamlich malchusei, v'chayachon v'yom echon v'chayei d'chol beis Yisrael, b'agalo u'vizman kol v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabo mevarach le'olam omel mayo, Yisparach v'yishtabach v'yisparis mamaman, v'yisnasei v'yisadav v'yisalei shmei d'kutsho, b'richu, Le'olam minchal v'irchasa v'shirasa, tushbechasa v'nechemasa, damiron v'amo v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayinu aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu yasei shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, amen. Go in peace now. Do not follow the world as you move through it today. Do not follow man, including this one. And for God's sake, do not follow your ego, but follow the Holy Spirit, who has been speaking to you all this morning, and who will continue speaking to you if you but listen as you make your way throughout the world today. Baruch Hashem.